Morning everyone, happy Friday. I'm back in my woodland spot this morning, kind of a little bit tucked away because it's trying to rain. I have a tree over the top of my head, so it's either going to be raindrops this morning or beech nuts. So happy days. I hope you've all had a lovely week. That was a very powerful equinox, combined with the kind of the light and the might of the Pisces full moon. I think a lot of us were feeling that flex, and that particular gateway, portal, doorway, event, whatever you want to call it, signified the opening of the next phase of what we are going to be experiencing. And I know a lot of us have felt very pushed since the Lionsgate. Me particularly, I've been recovering. For every integration that we receive, we have to basically get used to it. We have to utilize it within our system. Sometimes that can be a very physical thing, or sometimes it can be more of a mental and emotional. All of the stuff comes rushing up to the surface. For me, I felt a bit of a pause during Virgo season. This is why I'm always so pleased to see the astrological sign move into the sign of Virgo. It's like, because the Lionsgate is so intense. But the United Teams of Light are not hanging around. They're not kind of what we would call pulling any punches with the next phase of the operation, and they are moving forwards very strongly now with the next part of the gold print, the community gold print, the Atlantean community gold print, or the unity grid. Now, on Wednesday, I was very prompted on the equinox to do a unification meditation. If you haven't seen it, it's the next one. It's the post before this on this Ascension page or on YouTube, and this involved us all unifying our heart centers globally, because we're all tuning in from different parts of the world. We're all experiencing different aspects of this shift, be it a very physical, quite imposing shift from the surroundings, or whether it's the actual physical process that you are going through yourself, or we are going through. So I was prompted and guided to actually almost like link hands energetically, each and every single one of us, and hold Mother Earth for the next phase of the process, because things are now getting physical. And obviously I've mentioned in the previous two videos the volcano and the Canary Islands, and I'm actually going to include the guys' YouTube. I've been watching reports and updates from La Palma, or Las Palmas, from a guy who calls himself Bushcraft Bear, and he's on YouTube. I'm really drawn to the guy's energy. He's a lovely, gentle but very honest guy who lives on the island in the Canaries, and he's almost like he's now sort of like kind of doing what he does up in the hills and living off the land and having a kind of daily adventures. He's now live reporting from the volcano, and I've been watching him daily because it's just such a honest and unique way of connecting into it rather than watching the news. So I'm going to include his link. So we got all of these things going on, but it's not just the Canary Islands, it's all over the world. Okay, there was an earthquake the other day in Australia, and Australia is very much the focal point for a very intense kind of application of authoritarian energy. Now, again, we knew this was coming. If we didn't know that this was coming on a physical level, we knew it was coming, part of our soul knows what's happening. Okay, we might be kind of like looking to the skies, or looking to our guides, or looking to our hearts for what is going to occur next, but our soul knows what's going on. They just all seem to keep a little bit quieter about it. And that's all part of the test. It's part of the experience. How do we respond and react as we are remembering our mastery when we're presented with these very unique and very challenging situations to work ourselves through. And so very collectively, we are all experiencing these different aspects of how the next phase is going to roll out. And make no mistake, I think it's probably going to be, if you're looking at it, it depends on what perspective you're looking at it from. If you're very involved with it, it's going to feel very intense. If it's affecting every minute of your everyday life, you're going to feel like you're under pressure. If you're stepping back from it, then it's still going to look as it is, but you're going to be looking at it from a higher perspective. So it's all about point of experience. Now, one thing that has been shown very clearly, that the United Teams of Light are going straight for the unification. Okay. Now, the Atlantean Community gold print is, if you look at it, there's two narratives that are available. There's one that's being pushed by the kind of collective powers that be, and you've heard me talk about it before, build back better, you know, like kind of changing the world so that there's like a unified government, and shutting down all of the things that create kind of pollution. And it looks very similar, or it sounds very similar in description to what we are working towards at a fifth dimensional level, but the two couldn't be more different. Okay, one is very kind of anti-people, and the other one is about bringing us all together so that we live in harmony, we live in peace, we live in unity, we live at one with the land, we live at one with the animals, and everything moves smoothly and peacefully towards that fifth dimensional target that we are all aiming for as an ascension process. Now, what I've noticed is that all of a sudden the switch flicked on upstairs. It's almost like, right, recess is over, now it's back to work. But they're kind of going very much for the heart center unity, the soul unity between us all. And I think in many ways this is to remind us, if we're feeling isolated wherever we are having our experience, that we're not alone, that we are unified, that physically, you know, our physical existence are very important. We're here, we're experiencing it, but the soul energy, the soul awakening process is now becoming such a worldwide movement and so fast moving that to focus on that in many aspects is giving all of us around the world that sense of not being alone anymore. Now, that's very important. For years I've been working on this ascension pathway as kind of like a speaker, a writer, bringing through the information from Atlantis that I'm remembering and I'm being given back again. But I've noticed a theme occurring constantly, and this is since about 2013, where we tend to wake up wherever we are. We wake up in a family unit, or we wake up when we're working in a job, or any of these circumstances that we've all had to maintain during 3D. And one of the first experiences that we have is that we're kind of isolated, we're alone. And that immediately brings, like, you know, am I the only person on this ascension pathway? Am I the only person with these spiritual beliefs? Who can I talk to? Who can I relate to? Where do I get my information from? Help. And so the message from above, from the Intergalactic Council, from the United Teams of Light, from all of them helping, is that we are going to be shown just how powerful and together we actually are. That period of being alone, isolated, that almost like that period of going dark, for many of us is now going to be over. Now that we're kind of functional, now that we're operating together as a team, that team is going to start looking like a team. It's going to start looking strong. It's going to start collectively. We together are going to be making a difference, rather than kind of little pockets of individuals all around the world kind of doing a significant quantity of work but feeling almost like, you know, for want of a better word, that we're the only ones doing it. So the emphasis is on unification, the unity grid, the incredible power and forward movement of the Atlantean Ascension community gold print. Now I know this sounds very descriptive, it sounds like words of the past or words of the future, but this is our current, where we are at the moment. The reason why all of these changes are occurring on our world, and they're so intense, is because we are moving into that gold print. Everything on a resistance level that is happening in 3D is an attempt to prevent this from happening. Okay, there's two realities, and one wants to very much maintain control of this kind of 3D dystopia which is now rolling out, and the other one is just simply going, that's not occurring, we are going to proceed with our plans. It's how we get to there, it's how we get to that point, it's how we act in the interim that is so very important at the moment. And the key to this is unity. It's the it's the gathering of like-mindedness. It's the rolling ball of this incredible power of awakening that we are experiencing, or we have been experiencing, particularly in the last 2 years or so, and what we're going to be seeing over the course of this winter. Now, I think what is most important is to remember that whatever we experience in October, November, December, January and February is occurring with the sole intention of bringing the people who are not quite up to speed yet into that state of awakening. So, and I've said this so many times before, in order to create the circumstances within an individual to wake them up, to take the blinkers off, to remove that veil from the third eye, something significant has to occur. So the experiences that we are feeling and seeing and engaging with every day are increasing in order to bring that about. Okay, on one side it's desperately trying to stop this awakening. On our side of it, it is being done very specifically to bring these souls up to where we are, and many of them will be like I've covered before. They're kind of like shock awakenings. You know, wow, okay, this is not as it should be. I can see clearly now. And so, with every passing minute, more lights come on around the world, and the unity grid, the unified fifth dimensional consciousness grid, becomes stronger and stronger. But I'm also being told that the pressure is mounting. Okay, the attempts to prevent this from occurring are very powerful. Okay, they've reached the point now where they are going, we are clearly losing control of this. We are clearly losing every kind of grip that we have got upon the 3D matrix, because everybody's basically migrating away from it. They're unplugging and migrating away from it. So they are going to do absolutely everything that they possibly can to maintain control. And this is what we are looking at experiencing over the next few months. A very good friend of mine said that the astrology for December and January particularly is looking like it is going to be revisiting that very authoritarian Capricornian energy, where it's all encompassing. What we are being guided to do is to be here on planet Earth and to do our jobs. Okay, that doesn't mean kind of getting embroiled in the kind of the fear and the distractions that are going to be coming from 3D. It means focusing on bringing ourselves as individuals and a collective team into the consciousness and the unification level that we need to in order to steer the next phase of Gaia's awakening and the stepping up. So this is just been receiving so many very interesting messages from the heavens about this, about how much closer we are to this unification consciousness than we actually might perceive, because things have been the way they are, because our world is so fast moving and so distracting and so pressurized. What we sometimes fail to see is just how much progress has been made on a spiritual level, on a higher frequency level, but it doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel comfortable. If you think about how a diamond is formed, it has to be formed under pressure. The coal or whatever material has to be squeezed and pressurized by the earth and under extreme heat, under extreme pressure over time before the diamond forms. We're kind of like in a fast moving aspect of that process, where many of the diamonds, many of you around this planet at the moment, have been formed very quickly. So you feel like you have been pressurized in the most incredible circumstances, you know, almost a little bit too quickly, because we've had to. That's one of the things that I've noticed over the last decade, is the quantity of fast track souls. Now, a fast track wake up is an individual, and this will probably resonate with you, who's woken up later, and instead of taking a long period of time, you know, to kind of gracefully learn about the spiritual pathway, all of a sudden you sign your contracts and you do your learning and your initiations all in a bundle, all in kind of like a very powerful bundle of metamorphosis. And that, I don't think I've never seen a comfortable one. I've yet to this day to like ever speak to anybody who's been through a kind of a rapid wake up or gone through a series of initiations. Oh, that was fun, I think I'll incarnate back on planet Earth and do that again the next time. They're always really intense. So we've got this, again, many of the people around you at the moment, they'll click awake. Whatever circumstances will occur will wake them up, and they'll go through this fast track process. They'll be signing their soul contracts, they'll be bringing in their master energy, they'll be taking their initiations, including the dark night of the soul, all together. So they won't be spaced out, it'll all be happening at once. Now, I know for a fact that I've been through that on a couple of occasions, but I kind of did it previously, before all of this occurred, and that might also resonate with a lot of you. So that, again, we are looking at so many of our brothers and sisters in the light joining that collective field. Now, every single point of light that joins the collective field amplifies it, okay? And again, I look to the words of Archangel Jophiel, who just one paragraph in the Beloved Seven Archangels Speak, where he was talking about how just one soul who's anchored in the strength of their mighty I Am presence has enough impetus or enough spiritual power to cause a balance or an equilibrium around the world. And on this, what Archangel Jophiel was referring to at the time was 4 souls around planet Earth at this very, very low point. It was about 2,000 years ago. And he was saying just those 4 awakened souls, those 4 souls who were anchored in their mighty I Am presence, were enough to stabilize planet Earth and to prevent it from going, you know, too far south, and from all of the circumstances becoming almost irretrievable. And if you compare that to now, to the, I'm, you know, there are billions of us awake now. There are billions, okay? It's not just tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions. I'm now seeing the points of light in their billions. Okay, we've still got a way to go. Okay, we're still looking at having a lot of the you know, maybe even another billion over the winter period being forced by their circumstances to honor their soul contracts and to wake up. Now, another interesting point that was made by the Intergalactic Council, and some of you may have heard this perspective before, was each country's individual experience of this particular extraction from 3D to 5D will be dependent on the collective consciousness of that country. So I live in the UK. The experience is very intense. Those of you that are living in Australia and particularly places like Victoria and Melbourne, the experience is even more intense. It's looking like 1984 in a lot of the cities, or in a lot of the towns, and this pressure is being applied as a reflection of the collective consciousness. Okay, if you think about that. So, and again, that in the UK is very densely populated. We've got 8 million people alone living just in London. So then, and there are multiple cities on what is comparatively a tiny island. The UK is not very big, and you've got all of these people, and the collective consciousness it's now breaking out, but the circumstances needed to be intense. So everything that is experienced on that level will be a reflection of the collective consciousness, and so the reflection has to be applied at that level for there to be the opposite reaction to create the wake-ups, to break people out of that period, that those circumstances where the third eye just isn't responding, it isn't seeing, it isn't registering the matrix for what it is, and stepping into their mastery, into their sort of state of wake-upery. But we're also going to be acknowledging, or have acknowledged already, that there are almost like a minority of souls around planet Earth who aren't joining us on the Ascension pathway. And that's always been the way it's going to be. There's always going to be a number or a percentage of people who have incarnated at this time to experience what we're experiencing, but not with the intention of joining us on that pathway. And that's absolutely fine. Okay, I've said that previously. That is their choice. It's their soul contract. They have all been given the opportunity to change that if they wish, but many of these are younger souls who have not experienced quite enough of 3D to actually step out of it yet. They've still got more to learn. They've still got more growth and soul expansion to benefit from. Although it might seem like a little bit of a strange thing to wish to benefit from, but that is the way it is. But this is something that is going to we're going to be seeing kind of occurring over the next decade or so. Okay, 2032 is our target date. By 2032, we will be our fifth dimensional matrix will be fully established by that point. And from the way that time is moving and the progress that we have made in a short space, I think it could all, I'm confident enough to say I think it's going to be before that. Now, I've been asked the question, the target date is 2032. Are we going to be experiencing these kind of like very intense sort of dystopian circumstances for the next decade? No, we're not. Okay, this is what's just occurring at this particular period of time, and I'm not being given a specific date for the finish point of that. That's down to us. Okay, that's down to how effectively we do our job, how effectively we work in harmony with Earth and all of the instructions that are coming in from above, and also how quickly the veils come away from the third eyes that are still covered, or how quickly they see through the illusion. That's the only technical hitch that's occurring with the Ascension pathway at the moment, is the fact that where you get large groups of people, and again this is in like major cities, like say for example London, where you've got 8 million, yeah, 8 million people is so many people to put in a space the size of London. And so the collective consciousness is very dense, or intense. It's a little bit like, it's like thick ice that is more difficult to get through, where if you go to the outskirts and the other areas, the ice is thinner. Okay, so that's a little bit how it is. So the only problem that has been kind of reflected back to me from the councils of light and the united teams of light, the galactics, is the fact that it's a little bit more difficult to shake that density out of the very built up areas where people are all together. And this is around the world, this is cities around the world. So again, this is going to be the intensity of our individual experiences where we are located around the world is a reflection of the collective consciousness, is a reflection of the karma. And that experience is intense in order to create the explosion of the ignition, or the kind of the combustion that is needed to spark that awakening, that kind of that shaft of light through the clouds that just kind of blows all the illusion, all the cobwebs and all of the dust away, so that people can begin to see. So unity is where it is. Okay, unity is where we are being guided to for the next phase. We will find support in unity. We will find nourishment in unity. We'll find strength in unity. And that is a unity consciousness. Okay, so we're focusing on our hearts all being linked in globally with each other, and all supporting each other on our soul missions. Each of our missions are completely different, but they, you know, you might have someone close to you that does a similar job, has similar interests, but their individual soul key will be completely different from yours. What they're bringing through, their information, their knowledge, what they're bringing to the table will be completely individualized for them and their process. And you are completely unique. You have unique skills, unique talents, a unique mission, but you are an essential part of this ascension process. So we're all linking in with each other now, okay? And this is going to be something that you're already aware of, or something that you're going to become increasingly aware of over the next 3 to 6 months, is that push for unification. And it's going to be very beautiful. It's going to be very beautifully supportive when what we are seeing on maybe the 3D TV screen is not, it is challenging that state of equilibrium within us. So that is my Ascension update for Friday. We have got everybody from the heavens bringing their attention in to make sure that the next phase of this process goes to plan, is harmonious, works as it is supposed to. And just be aware of this, be aware of the soul calling that you have at this time to do whatever it is, and just trust that flow. If you're not receiving anything at the moment, don't worry about it. It will, if you'll basically say to the universe, I am here, I'm ready to work, I'm committing myself for the betterment of this planet, you will be given whatever role it is that you've incarnated to do. And life in the universe and everything around you will change to and adapt to match that. It's about our personal commitment to this that is very, very important at this time. So, sending you all lots of love. And for those of you that are joining Lavisa and I on Wednesday, really looking forward to seeing you there. That's going to be a beautiful event, connecting into the portals of the cosmic heart. So have a beautiful weekend, and I'll catch up with you all soon. Bye for now.